Thanks for your company. In our first story, the family of deceased police officer in the Kwabenya station breakout is devastated as they come to terms with the loss of their beloved Inspector Emmanuel Ashlevi. Inspector Ashlevi was shot by armed men who stormed the police station to free their jailed colleagues while he was on patrol duty in the early hours of Sunday morning. Joy News' Maxwell Agbagba has been interacting with the residents of Kwabenya.
You work here at this place. Tell me, how did you take the news?
After I'm very terrified because what is going on in this modern Ghana is too seriously, because there are so many foreigners are moving around in this country. They don't even have a paper. They are moving around. Even at least by 12, 11 that way, you can see the Nigerian guys moving around, smoking weed and things, or moving here and there, doing unnecessary things in this modern Ghana. So we beg, we need government, we want government to do something with it. Because the foreigners, at first, Ghana, they don't have that kind of thing in this Ghana. But at least, what is going on, I can see that foreigners, those Nigerian guys and things, Lebanese people, they just spoil the people in this Ghana.
You keep saying foreigners are making reference to Nigerians. Are you saying that because one of the suspects who is currently on the run is a Nigerian? Are you saying that because of this? Or you've seen...
No. Because I'm a Ghanaian. I'm a Ghanaian. But what even a policeman guiding us, and that same policeman was shot. What about we civilians?
Okay.
What about we civilians? So we're going to be afraid. Once I'm here, I'm afraid. Because I'm afraid that when I'm moving to house and I meet that kind of people, what am I going to do?
Okay. So right now, what advice would you give to, the Kwabenya police station and some other police stations that we have around? What advice are you going to give to, what sort of lessons are you drawing from the incident that happened?
After all, they are policemen. They know how to do their work. So even I can give them an advice. They know how to do their works.
Okay. Thanks so much. Well, when we came here, that was the subject of discussion. But when we came here to this mechanic shop, that was the subject of discussion this early morning. About 10 men were gathered discussing the incident that happened at the Kwabenya police station. We have another man here. Chief, how did you take the news?
I take the news seriously. Yesterday, I've been in church, so I'm at the church. Then one of my colleagues called me that they shoot one man at the Atomic police station. Me too. I feel sad because I know the man very well.
Oh, you know him?
I know him, the man that was dead. No? And one of my friends too is there. I think his name is Numu. We usually call him Numu. He too is at the scene. He's a police officer. So he too calls me and he said they shoot one of his maid. I said, wow, why? Because police station, then they'll go and shoot over there. Then what about the civilians? We are moving around. How is our security? How can we do now?
I'm hearing no. They say police nipa and they say I'm robbers. They call so they na na mo de you don't throw be na mo. Na me dey meet ma can say Ghana say Ghana also fi hu yipa.
Well, he says what has happened, it's very scary. If this has happened to a police officer, then really does not know what he can say for ordinary citizens. He's cautioning Ghanaians to be conscious.
And TCC and the meet my can say no from our fly Ghana no o see mpani for no hwe hu yipa because you see Nigeria 43 about dozen hwe be 4 years time Ghana for yemfani easy who them cry hwe about so o see hwe hu yipa.
Well, what he's saying is that we need to be careful about the kind of foreigners who come to our country, because he says in some years to come, you'll not be able to sleep in your room. When you sleep in your room, somebody will just open the door and just, barge into your room and then do whatever that they want to do to you.
Me see police officer ya. The two canon so madam for permanent native the bia me ba me neighbor.
Well, he says the loss, the police officer who was killed, is a painful loss. The other man who was at the charge office who escaped the attack is his close friend.
Yeah. And me, the meeting can say, the Yakuno, Yamin currency. Now, the meeting can say, Ghana Hano, to Kuntukubi or Honoma, a young boom say a man for bad boys. Okay.
Well, he says rest in peace to the officer who has been killed. He's also talking about what he described as hideouts for, some unscrupulous people, for criminals. He said usually you find people in those hideouts.
Now, the death of Inspector Emmanuel Ashlevi at Kwabenya Police Station on Sunday has raised concerns about the safety of police officers on duty. At the last count, Ghana's police-to-citizen ratio was 1 to 847, which means our officers are already stretched in protecting the population. Also, these officers complain about the shortage in logistics for their work. This also means they're endangered in the line of duty as they're unable to protect themselves. This morning on Joy FM's Super Morning Show, an officer speaking on condition of anonymity appealed to government to properly resource the police.
The killing of policemen today is just too much on the rise. Within this month, 8 of us are gone. It's just alarming. Is it a crime for us to wear the uniform just to protect and maintain orders? Is it a crime? Are we also not from families? Have you people not referred to us as police being a friend to the public? Why must you direct your anger on the police? A poor police person who lacks logistics, not for any fault of theirs, but for the failure of the state. You know, the provision in the Constitution, Article 200 downwards, provided for that there should be a police force, non-police service, which should be well equipped. When you talk about well-equipped police, you're talking about police with, communication gadgets, an arm. You can think about them. Here is the case: we go for duties. I can cite a case about a week ago in Tema, when a civilian was chased by armed robbers. He was running. He realized armed robbers were after him. He ran towards a place where there were policemen in uniform. So he thought he could seek refuge there. At that point, those men, we call them visibility men, they are always there, armless. So when the civilian got there and the armed robbers started shooting, the policemen ran for cover. They are human beings. They are not superhumans.
Well, the officer also responded to concerns that some weapons issued to police personnel end up being used on crime scenes.
For me, the very mere fact that an individual has been enlisted into the service, went through basic police training alone, is a justification for that person to be armed. Yes. Why? I expect and believe that some due diligence might have been done by administration or the employers of these persons. In my particular case, whilst I was at training, men were sent to my village to do some background checks on me. And so, in the process, if there were other adverse findings, I would have been picked up and be dealt with according to law.
Away from that incident that occurred on Sunday, senior citizen and retired diplomat Kwabenya Asante has died. The family of the 93-year-old statesman has confirmed his passing, but gives no further details. They expected to issue a formal statement before the close of day. Here's a profile of Kwabenya Asante.
March 1, 1924, Kwabenya Asante was the secretary to Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and served under a number of heads of states in Ghana. He also served as the Principal Secretary at African Affairs Secretariat from 1960 to 1966. Mr. Asante was Ghana's ambassador to Switzerland and the United Nations offices in Geneva and the UN establishment in Vienna. He also served as the ambassador to Belgium, Luxembourg, and the European Economic Community from 1976 to 1978. KB Asante retired from civil service in 1978 to form the Social Democratic Front to contest the 1979 election, where his party won 3 parliamentary seats in that election. Mr. Asante became the Secretary for Trade and Tourism in the Provisional National Defense Council, PNDC administration in 1982, and later Secretary for Education and Culture from 1986 to 1990. KB Asante attended Achimota School, where he later taught mathematics from 1945 to 1948, before proceeding to Durham University in Britain, where he obtained a BSc Mathematics in 1952. Mr. Asante also became a member of the Institute of Statisticians in 1953, before again returning to Achimota College, where he continued teaching mathematics from 1953 to 1955. May his soul rest in peace.
My colleague Joseph Akable is currently at the residence of the late KB Asante at Labadi here in Accra and joins us live. Hello, Joseph. You've been talking to the family of Mr. KB Asante. What have they been telling you? It must be a really difficult moment for them.
So, like you pointed out, Ben, it's a tough time for the family. About an hour and a half ago, when I arrived at his residence, that is right behind me, the entire house was empty, with the main gate, which has one section opened, locked as well. What we were informed was the fact that, the body, they are taking the lifeless body of the late diplomat to the morgue to deposit it at the morgue. So at that point, the house was empty, but about an hour ago, they returned home. And what they are doing now within the compound is that they are setting up canopies and putting some seats under it to ensure that those who they expect to be coming in to visit the place and commiserate with the family, they will have a space for them to sit down and be stationed here. As can be expected, around such times, it's very difficult getting word from family members. The information we are picking up is that he died in his sleep. We understand he has not been so well for some time now, but that he was receiving treatment, but yesterday he slept, and this morning they realized that they were trying to wake him up and realized that he had died while in his sleep. So some few relatives keep on coming into the house, and it's time they are still trying to inform other relatives. The point the family members are making, for which reason they want to speak to us now, is the fact that they know it just happened in the morning, and they know that some relatives, some close aides, some children of the late Mr. Asante himself are unaware that their dad has passed on, and tradition demands that they inform the leadership of the family and our other relatives about the demise of their own before they hear it out there, and afterwards the family will come out officially to engage the public as to what exactly happened in the direct events, chain of events, as to how it all transpired. So if you can just take a look at the residence right behind me, this is the residence of the late Mr. KB Asante. So those canopies you can see behind me, Benis, with the seats right over there. The seats are being cleaned. The canopy was just fixed just a short while ago. So that is how the arrangement has undertaken now. So for all those who will be coming in to commiserate with the family, there will be a place for you. I tried to speak to one Dr. Asante. He works with the Energy Commission, and he's the son of the late diplomat. And the point he made to me was the fact that, that his demise came as a surprise to them. Even though they agree that the man is aged, they didn't expect that to happen. So they are still yet to move away from the shock, and they are trying to gather their thoughts, trying to inform family members, and once they are clear in their minds what line of action to take, they will communicate appropriately, Benis.
Joseph, I know it's early hours yet, but have you identified or seen any other diplomat, colleague of the late KB Asante, or any politician around?
No known individual has been identified so far in the past an hour and a half that have pitched camp here at his residence. For those who are coming in, the understanding we are getting is that they are close relatives. They are persons who in one way or the other relate to the late diplomat. So that is what is happening here. Those are the individuals who are coming in at this point and coming in to commiserate with the family. So in terms of popular figures in the national space, either being in diplomacy or being in the political arena. We know Mr. Asante was a man of many parts and known for his thoughts that he put across forcefully and when was necessary. Those individuals in that arena that he used to engage, we are here to identify anyone coming. So in terms of the residents and the situation here now, it's more of a family affair now, and the family, they are very much aware that individuals will be coming in. So their first action as it stands now, after conveying the lifeless body from this residence, is to ensure that they have their place prepared to receive the number of people who they know will be coming in to commiserate with the family. Benis.
Very much for the updates, Joseph Akable, my colleague there at the residence of the late KB Asante. We've still pitched camp there. We'll be bringing you details in subsequent bulletins, obviously details as the family decides to let them out. Away from that, in many Zongo communities across the country, marrying young is common. This is because many of these girls in such communities have little or no motivation to go to school or pursue a career. In today's edition of Joy News Agenda, still focusing on Zongos, Matilda Bamega returns from their shaman Zongo with a story of a young woman who quit her marriage to pursue her true dreams because she was married off too young. She's advocating for a scholarship scheme and counseling units to address the growing demands of the Zongo youth.
Over the years, communities such as the Ashaiman Zongo have been left behind in development planning, which most often than not results in their needs not being properly identified. This results in the lack of basic social amenities. With the coming of government's flagship Zongo Development Fund, this is expected to bridge the development gap in densely populated communities such as the Ashaiman Zongo. The Ashaiman Zongo is obviously one of the most prominent and frequently mentioned Zongo communities in Ghana. Beyond the slum, the insanitary conditions and the negative perception of persons born and raised in Zongo, the status quo is gradually changing. Inside one of Ashaiman beauty salons, Fati does makeup for women in this area. Fati is a young lady in her late 20s. She was born and raised in this community. She married at a very young age. Fati believes young ladies in Zongo communities who missed out on formal education can still make something meaningful out of their lives.
Most of our parents are being influenced by money. So in this case, when the person just comes in and has something small to give to the parent, and they are confused. So our parents should just exercise patience. Sometimes they should listen to us. Your girlfriend will get married, and she's like, she'll be throwing the veils at you and stuff. Sometimes.
So, okay, the veil which symbolizes the marriage.
You know, sometimes it gets to a point that's like kind of competition. Everybody wants to settle down. Everyone wants to settle down. I was just eager to settle down. So I was able to, grab one.
We just carried away.
No, I was able to grab one. And so I got married.
So why did you decide to leave the marriage?
He was out of town, and I had so many opportunities to, work and stuff. And he kept telling me not to do it, not to work. I should just be home. He would do everything for me. And everything too wasn't coming. If I come back home and complain, and my parents are like, it's not anything, just for the sake of marriage, just go. But I realized I was just doing myself so many harm. You understand? I was left all alone.
So you decided to come out of the marriage?
Yes. It wasn't easy. For now, most of our ladies, we don't want to be the housewife types. We want to also support the family and cater for our children. Sometimes when you depend on the men, they are not very supportive. You end up just being home, doing nothing and useless. So it's about time we just rise to our feet and do what's best. In this modern era, things are changing by the grace of God. Girls are being encouraged to enroll themselves into schools and other trades.
Hasia is one of the apprentices in Fati's beauty shop.
She wants to become a beautician. She has unique skills in dressmaking. Her biggest worry is how to find enough money to set up her own beauty salon after her training.
I wanted to have my handwork, so I started. I went to learn how to sew.
Okay.
Yeah. So gradually.
So you dropped out of secondary school to learn how to sew.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I completed it, and later I got married.
Okay. Yeah. Were you married off like it's usually done in the
No. On my free roll. I did it on my free roll.
So how is marriage for you?
For now, I'm off.
You are off?
Yeah.
When you say you are off, how do you mean?
I'm divorced.
You are divorced?
Yeah.
How long did the marriage take?
I think 7 years.
7 years?
Yeah.
Part of the 100 million cedi Zongo Development Fund must also be targeted at creating counseling units within the Zongo communities. Fati and her friends believe this is one surest way of shaping the mindset of the youth in the Zongos.
You can ensemble all the youth at a spot. So when there is a counseling unit in a spot where if the child or the youth is having challenges, is having any problem, where he or she can confide in a person to bring out her issues to be addressed, I think that would help.
Through their own efforts and support of family and friends, these young women are already building themselves up with a career. They have high hope the Zongo Development Fund will go a long way to improve lives, only if a non-partisan approach is adopted towards the distribution of projects under the fund. This is of concern to the chief of Ashaiman Zongo, Alhaji Ibrahim Salisu, and some opinion leaders.
But I think if we don't play politics, it will go a long way to go. Because in terms of any outbreaks, it doesn't know any political affiliation. We will be all affected. So I think when we don't play politics, it will be good for us all.
The development fund can succeed if they put the partisan thing aside. Because when the thing started, the last time when the minister came, as if, it belongs to one person. And they forget that whenever they voted, they all belong to us.
The Zongo Development Fund is one of government's flagship programs aimed at bridging the development gap in the country. For Joy News, Matilda Pamaga, Ashaiman Zongo.
We'll bring you more reports focusing on Zongo communities as part of our Joy News agenda. Now, the high demand for sand as a necessary component for construction has given rise to indiscriminate activities of sand winners who are going the extra mile to destroy lands. The sand winners, most of them illegal operators, have extended their activities to Amahia in the Adental municipality, harassing residents while scrambling for sand and destroying the land in the process. Residents are therefore calling on authorities to intervene to prevent a possible disaster when the rains set in.
Indiscriminate sand winning is having a destructive effect on the environment, threatening farmlands and the ecosystem, and needlessly claiming lives when residents and landowners show resistance. The worrying trend of illegal sand winning is also known as sand galamsey. Joy News told the story of the ruthless cartel that killed a 23-year-old farmer who resisted attempts by the sand winners to dissipate his farm at Yakoko in the Sawam enclave in 2017. The dodgy cartels have now extended their operations to Amanhian, destroying lands in the area and threatening residents. The sand winners come from Kunkatamanso and they operate during the day and at night. We've tried to stop them, but they always threaten to shoot at us. We want government to intervene and stop them from destroying our land.
Even I'm fighting with Redeemer on the land too. He said Katamanso sold it for him. So that is all I know. But beginning, I know it's for Amahia, the whole Zongo. belongs to Amahia people. Well, the activity of the sand weeders will be passing, we will see them grading, piling the sand, but
Okpa mara fa be ni bi ane na afite o sponge na amecha shiko amanya no ni shagbene katama so bi eko na amecha gravel ye ni oduma meche ko na mesa amecha bu amewobu okpa mara lo fa ni ba wawo ni wo anike ni bi na afose le kaje na kan be ke ni bi baba.
The residents say radical approach is required to nip the development in the bud.
Latif Idris with that report. You're watching Joy News today with me, Bernice Abubedu. Just gone by, we took you to the residence of the late KB Asante, where the family is yet to release a statement on his demise and plans for his funeral. Still to come, I'll be telling you the story of a flood survivor and how he's channeling all the energies from that experience into dealing with the problem of sanitation. We'll be back with that and more. Please stay. Thanks for your company here on Joy News today. Now, teachers of the Eduman Senior High School in the Ashanti region have begun a 3-day sit-down strike to demand the removal of the headmaster, Francis Iyao Agoso. They say the action, which has disrupted teaching and learning in the school, has become necessary because there's a lack of leadership on campus. Teachers are worried the head teacher's disrespect for others is stifling their initiative and commitment to work. Love FM's Prince Apia is on the campus of Eduman Senior High School and joins us live. Hello, Prince. Hello, Prince, if you can hear me. Now, the teachers say that the actions... Great. The teachers of Eduman Senior High School say the actions of the headmaster is stifling their initiative and commitment to work. What exactly do they mean by that? Do they give you any examples of what he does they consider as disrespect?
Yeah, Bernice, quickly, let me go straight to the spokesperson of the Teachers Union here at Eduman Senior High School, who have a long petition, and out of the 91 teachers here in the school, 85 signed a petition demanding that the head teacher of this particular senior high school teach for 5 days, sit-down strike. What did you say the head teacher has done?
Thank you very much. As you rightly said, the teachers are 99 minus the management, and out of the 99, 85 of them have signed a petition for the removal of the headmaster, Mr. Francis Agoso, from office. It is becoming one too many. Yes. First one is a show of disrespect to teachers and stakeholders. That any disease.
Really sorry, we don't have a stable feed from Kumasi there. But Prince, if you can hear me, we'll do this via phone now. If you can hear me, I was asking initially if there are any pointers or any examples these teachers give you as a sign of disrespect from the headmaster. Apologies, I will try and get a stable connection with Prince Apia, who is currently at Eduman Senior High School, where teachers are embarking on a 3-day sit-down strike because they want the headmaster, Mr. Iyao Agoso, out of the place. Now, there are some who have a close shave with death in experiences such as accidents, gas explosions, among others, but never recover from the shock. A few end up with what psychologists call post-traumatic stress disorder, which leaves them with recurring images of the incident. 35-year-old Makafu Yawuku's story is, however, different. He survived a flood and moved on with a resolution that he will ensure that his society is rid of filth. he currently makes waste bins by using disposed plastic bottles lying idle on the streets. John News's Joseph Akable spent some time in Awuku's Medina residence and has come through with this report.
It's not unusual to have people drink from plastic bottles, such as this. Neither is it strange to have them dump them on the streets once they are done. More often than not, people forget the impact of such an act. It is estimated that 1 million plastic bottles are bought around the world every minute. This number is expected to jump another 20% by 2021. This means out of the estimated 250 children born in a minute, each can have 4,000 bottles. What is worrying about these figures is that 91% of such plastics isn't recycled. Ghana, like many other African countries, faces sanitation problems as a result. My name is Joseph Akable, and I know a man who knows what to do with this bottle.
Right here with me is a rubbish bin, or what we call a dust bin, made out of empty plastic bottles. There are 157 pieces of bottles in this piece, and this is about a normal size dustbin that we find in households. And it is made such in the way that it is very durable and can withstand the pressure of heavy things. But at the same time, it is not too heavy, so I can lift it up easily in case you want to dispose of the waste.
The UPSA trained marketer and poet who works with NGO One Ghana Movement recalls with nostalgia his near-death experience in 2010 that got him thinking.
I almost got carried away by floodwater sometime in 2010 where I was living got flooded. Sometime around 1 a.m. I woke up to it and the house was already flooded. And I thought of the fact that some of these gutters were being choked by plastic waste and plastic bottles. So I've been thinking a lot about the problem. And we're in a country where everybody has a say and an opinion on issues, but we don't do a lot of action. So I decided, instead of just talking about the waste and probably just managing my own waste well, we could take it a step further and start a waste revolution where we can create viable solutions and viable items from the waste we have. So I decided I wanted to work with plastic bottles. And then I was just going to create anything that I believe is viable with plastic bottles. The essence is to keep the bottles out of the environment and develop viable solutions that are very relevant in the area of health, education, infrastructure, in the area of household materials. Just think of it. We could create anything from the waste, and this will be, in the long term, a better way of managing the plastic bottles instead of just dumping it in the environment.
For many who may have such an inspiration, what remains is the skill. Ewuku does not recall receiving any formal training.
For me, every skill can be acquired. Sometimes we say, oh, I don't think I can do it. This is not my type. I don't have that skill. But if I lock you up in a room and you are not going to come out until you do something with what you have in the room, you begin to think about ideas.
Really interesting reports there. It's a good time to transition into business news, and Emmanuel Abuajiriafe is next with that. To stay.